10, you are not allowed to be visibly sick in Washington. So for one, you're not allowed to walk around in a public place if you've got a common cold in Washington or demonstrate any kind of sickness. The Exposing Contagious Disease section of the Washington State Legislature says that a penalty will be imposed if a person exposes someone to sickness without their knowledge. If they're aware of it, according to the law, it's okay. So basically, if you're ill in Washington, then stay at home. If not, you're breaking the law. And also, I don't really know what happens if you become ill while you're out, but like, God help you. Coming in at number 9, she doesn't need a driving license. The Queen does not need a driving license. Unlike everyone else in the United Kingdom, the Queen did not need to apply for a driving license when she was 17. She didn't even need to take any driving lessons or a test to be able to drive. All driving licenses in the United Kingdom are issued in the Queen's name, so if she felt like having one, she could just in theory issue one to herself. Despite no test or license, the Queen is a competent driver. She actually drove an ambulance in World War II. When the Prince of Saudi Arabia visited in 1998, she drove him around her estate in her Land Rover. Now some say this was a boss queen move to advocate women's rights, because in Saudi, women aren't allowed to drive. Coming in at number 8, she doesn't have to stick to the speed limit. Not that the Queen necessarily goes around speeding, but technically she does not have to abide by the speed limits. Queen Elizabeth's sister, the late Princess Margaret, didn't have the same privilege, as she was once fined for speeding. Rumour has it, Elizabeth does like to drive pretty fast, but these days she does almost exclusively all of her driving on her own private estates. Coming in at number 7, she doesn't need a passport. A lot like with the driving license, the Queen can travel freely without a passport. She is one of only a very small handful of people that are able to travel without the otherwise legal requirement. Even huge celebrities like Taylor Swift will need to get their passports checked before they enter a country. This is an exemption saved only for monarchs. All British passports are issued by Her Royal Majesty, so again, in theory, she could just issue herself one. But what's the point? It's only one more thing that she's likely to forget when she packs for her holidays. Coming in at number 6, she is exempt from Freedom of Information requests. Like most countries, the United Kingdom has a Freedom of Information system that allows the press and public to reasonably ask questions about various situations. Many say this is vital in a democratic society like in the UK, but the royal family have used their powers to block the Freedom of Information Act from applying to them. To put it simply, the Queen's affairs, her family affairs, they are absolutely private. Coming in at number 5, the Queen doesn't have to pay tax. While all working UK citizens by law have to pay tax on their earnings, the Queen does not have to. However, she has voluntarily paid tax since 1992, which is very good of her. Coming in at number 4, she can start a war and she can refuse to make peace. While this technically isn't a law, the Queen is the only person who can legally declare war and peace. While this usually is carried out by Parliament, it absolutely cannot happen without royal approval. If the Queen wanted to declare war on America tomorrow, she legally could and the countries would be at war. Coming in at number 3, the Queen can refuse laws. Laws don't become laws in the UK until the Queen says so. Once a law has been passed through the Parliament and the House of Lords, it comes to the Queen so she can give it her royal assent. If she wanted to refuse a law, she could, although she probably never will. The last time a British monarch actually refused their royal assent was in 1708 when Queen Anne refused for settling the militia in Scotland. Coming in at number 2, the Queen cannot be sued or prosecuted. What? Don't even think about trying to sue the Queen because you legally can't. She also cannot, as monarch, be sent to jail. Neither does she have to give evidence in court. This actually applies internationally too. The Queen is above the law. So this kind of leads me to my number 1 point. This list could have actually been our first ever most amazing top 1 because really, the Queen can break any law. The monarch of the United Kingdom is wholeheartedly above the law. They do not have to abide by any laws of the people. They have never had to abide by the laws of the people. The Queen legally can do whatever she wants. She could even commit murder. Although, of course, she wouldn't. The Queen remains within the law as to set an example to her subjects. While she is above the law and cannot be sent to jail, if she ever did do something to test this, it would be likely that in practice she would see the repercussions and be overthrown. Once a monarch is no longer on the throne, for example by way of abdication, then they have to answer to the law like the rest of us.
Starting us off at number 10 is smell. I can't believe this is a law in Quebec. I'm literally shooketh. I complain about the smells of the city on a daily basis when I'm in the car and the windows are down and out of nowhere the stench of a sewer just wafts in. Or when you're walking down the street and it smells like dog shite, like nah, B, miss me with that literally. Well, under the Criminal Code of Canada, it's illegal to comment about any foul smells in public or even offend the public with a bad smell. It's probably to protect small businesses that deal with smelly trades like fish, for example, or it's because Canada is just overly polite. If this is true, I literally break this law every single day, no cap, no exaggeration, and for that, I regret nothing.
In at number 9, very crazy, it's illegal to educate dogs in Connecticut, USA. What? So in Hartford, Connecticut, it is actually illegal to educate dogs ever. Thy dog must remain education free. Now they don't go into specifics about what they actually mean by this. Does it mean teaching them a trick, or does it mean like getting the dogs together and giving them a maths class or a chemistry lesson? If so, not allowed. In the same place in Connecticut, it is also illegal to kiss your wife on a Sunday. If you aren't husband and wife, however, then presumably you can kiss. What's going on in Hartford? Someone tell me. In at number 8, you do not have to pay for food unless you are full in Denmark. So I feel like I would probably, well, definitely abuse this law. They'd be like, hello, here's your check. And I'd be like, oh, sorry, I'm not actually quite full yet, so don't think I'm gonna be paying. Like, what is this? Now the law states that one may not be charged for food at an inn unless the person considers themselves to be full. Also, fun fact, in Denmark it's illegal to start your car without checking for children sleeping underneath it. Like, does this happen? I do not feel good about the next one. In at number 7, it is against the law for females to drive in Saudi Arabia. Are the women who independent? Throw your hands up at me. Unless you live in Saudi Arabia, in which case get back in the kitchen and don't even consider getting behind the wheel. Are you mad? The menfolk won't like that. Yep, that's right, women must find drivers or get a male relative to drive them around should they be so bold as to wish to venture an unwalkable distance. Although to be honest, they actually are not allowed to leave the house without a male chaperone because apparently freedom of movement to women would make them vulnerable to sin. There have even been cases of women being banned from shops. Instead, they must ask their drivers to go in and run their errands for them. Now my thoughts on this are perfectly summed up by Queen Elizabeth II of England, who, when a Saudi prince came to visit the UK, drove him around her palace in her car. Boss Queen. In at number 6, it's illegal to own more than 2 phallic sex toys in Arizona. Now the good news is if you live in Texas, you're allowed 6, but in Arizona, unfortunately, you are limited to 2. Why? Because apparently obscenity laws are a bigger issue than gun laws. For those wondering, you may have more than 2 guns in Arizona. One of my personal favourites at number 5, it's illegal to reincarnate without permission in China. Good old China, having a say in literally everything their citizens can do. Now the extent of Chinese government's totalitarianism knows no bounds. Now the 2007 State Administration for Religious Affair Law strictly stipulates the procedures for reincarnation, saying that Buddhists are not allowed to reincarnate without written consent from the government. Now the law was said to be an important move to institutionalize management of reincarnation. Everyday problems. In at number 4, it's illegal to leave your house without wearing underwear in Thailand. So if you're in Thailand, absolutely do not think about going commando, as you could be thrown in jail. The Thai law strictly states that everyone in public must be wearing underwear, even if they're wearing other items of clothing to cover their modesty. Next up at number 3, absolutely crazy, it's illegal to be fat in Japan. Uh-oh, the sugar police. Japan is known for its svelte population, but I for one did not know that it was because it's illegal to be fat. As recently as 2009, a law was passed that said every man aged 40 and over must not have a waist measuring 80 centimeters or above, and every woman 90 centimeters or above. While I do find this to be a fundamental violation of their people's human rights, their obesity levels are just 5%, whereas in the United States over 1 in 3 people are obese, so maybe they're onto something. One from the UK up next. In at number 2, it's illegal to be drunk in charge of a cow or horse in Scotland. Now by in charge, I'm not actually quite sure what they mean. Like, does it mean riding a horse or a cow? Or does it like mean being their elected supervisor? Now it isn't exactly clear, but either way, since 1872 it is an offence to be intoxicated and in charge of a cow and or horse in Scotland. By the way guys, until 1986 it was illegal to handle a salmon in suspicious circumstances, which is one one of the greatest things I have ever heard. What does this mean? We don't know. Unfortunately, this isn't still a law, so I couldn't officially include it in the top 10. I feel like this is a pretty good rule to live by. Feeling shady? Get your hands off that salmon. Okay guys, so we have reached that all-important moment in our most amazing top 10 laws you wouldn't believe exist, when I am going to reveal probably the most ridiculous one. In at number 1, it's illegal not to smile in Milan. Smiling is mandatory. So in Milan in Italy, it's illegal not to smile if you're a citizen. You are excused if you're attending a funeral or visiting someone sick in hospital. Other than that, if you're caught frowning, you could get a hefty fine. So guys, turn that frown upside down or the thought police will have you. Coming in at number 10, she can eat a swan. In the UK, it is illegal to hunt swans. While we're able to eat chicken, pheasant, duck, pigeon, turkey and things like that, in the United Kingdom it is not okay to kill and eat a swan. The swans in the UK are protected by the Queen, who also owns all of the mute, unmarked swans, as well as all of the swans on the River Thames. As the Queen partially owns the swans, she could, in theory, indulge in her forefathers' favourite meal of roasted swan with stuffing. She probably won't though, she takes her duty as swan protector pretty seriously. I feel like I've said swan a lot.
Coming in at number 9 is singing happy birthday. Who would have thought? I feel like knowing this would have saved a lot of people the embarrassment when everyone's looking at them singing, expecting them to grow wings or take flight or something. Like, what can I do when you're singing, people? Awkwardly just look at the cake, that's what. Except I love attention, so this one really doesn't apply to me. Haha, sucks to suck. Either way, since the song Happy Birthday is copyrighted, you can't actually sing it in public unless you want to pay major royalties. The Girl Scouts found this out the hard way when the American Society of Composers, Authors and Publishers asked them to pay royalties for singing Happy Birthday to You around the campfire. No one paid to hear them sing it, but the law applies to any public performance of the song where a substantial number of persons outside of a normal circle of a family and its social acquaintances is gathered. Of course you can sing it in the privacy of your own home, but if you're a small business owner or, you know, anyone outside, then you have to pay Time Warner royalties. The company makes $2 million a year just from this. Mind blown. At number 8 we have friendly betting. I can't even count on 2 hands the amount of times my friends and I have been out or even just at home and one of us is like, oh, $10, I bet you can't do this. Of course no one ever pays up, but it's the pressure and principle of the thing. Come on you guys. I mean, obviously I'm gonna try harder when $10 on the line. I'm not an idiot. Well, apparently I am. According to the Illegal Gambling Act of 1970, any bets that involve 5 or more people and end in someone getting at least $2,000 in a day is against state or local law. It constitutes as an illegal gambling operation and can get you 10 years in prison. Back in 2005, this dude called Sal Colosi was in a bar betting with his friends on a college football game, but it was only for like $50. A cop happened to be sitting in the bar as well and befriended Sal, manipulated him to raise the stakes over the course of a few months, and when he finally crossed 2K, a SWAT team surrounded his house and shot him in the heart. Betting with your friends, it's dangerous and illegal. This has been a PSA. Filling our number 7 slot is stealing Wi-Fi. You are lying if you say you've never ran out of data and tried connecting to any open Wi-Fi networks that your phone picks up. It never works, but it's still worth a try, you know what I mean? For me, the networks are either always password protected or lead me to some other page about signing up for some spam email thing just to get the Wi-Fi. Not worth it. It's very easy though. I feel like if you're in public and turn the Wi-Fi on your laptop on, it'll connect to any unsecure network in seconds. It's not my fault. Either way, you can blame your laptop, but it's still illegal. According to the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, it's a crime to gain unauthorized access to any computer or website. Unauthorized access meaning Wi-Fi squatting from any Wi-Fi router. Disregard the CFA, most states have regulations against unlawful access to networks and computers. It's a 3rd-degree felony which can land your ass in prison for at least 2 years and cost 10 grand in fines. So you may want to think twice before you're out in public and decide to connect to networks like Lord of Voldemodem or Vladimir Computin. Now at number 6 are markers. This one applies more to people still in school. Thankfully I am not, so sucks to suck, losers. Actually I'm kidding, education is wonderful, but also the system is broken. I'm very 50-50 on this. And honestly it also depends on what kind of note taker you are. Do you use the same ballpoint pen for everything, or do you use different colors for the title and each point? I was probably in the middle somewhere, like I like color and organization, but I'm not over the top. Either way, say you're just chilling on your phone before school, backpack or packed with your stationery, you are bringing breaking a law. According to any anti-graffiti state law anywhere, it's illegal to have broad-tipped indelible markers in Publix since they can be used for vandalism. That also makes it a crime for you to buy markers if you're under the age of 18, which is insane. An age limit on buying alcohol and cigarettes or weed I can understand, but pens? The law exists because states like California spend millions a year removing graffiti. To be honest, I'd rather nice graffiti covers a city's wall than chipped paint or just nothing at all. Coming in at number 5 is sitting on the sidewalk. Sometimes you just get tired, sometimes you're waiting for the bus or an Uber and you just need to sit on the pavement. Sometimes it's 2 AM and you're drunk or waiting for an Uber and your heels need to come off and you need to sit down. You've been in them for like 3 hours, it bloody hurts. But no, apparently there's a law prohibiting that along with my happiness. In 53% of American cities, including places like California, Virginia Beach, and Santa Cruz, there are laws against sitting or lying down in public. Sit-lie laws make it a misdemeanor to sit, recline, or lie down on any street, sidewalk, alley, curb, or entrance to any store or other place of business. Yes, the law is aimed at the homeless population, but they're not the only ones that do it. At number 4 are fake names. We have all done this. No one puts their real name as their username on PSN or Xbox Live, and sometimes people just create fake names on Facebook for fun. It's a thing, and it's common. Hell, I even had a fake name on Club Penguin. I don't give a but I guess I should since it's on this list. As I mentioned previously, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act says unauthorized access is illegal. Say you get onto a private website and into a company's documents by using a fake name to register, that's technically unauthorized. It counts as hacking and can get you 5 to 20 years in jail. Take prison guard Matthew LaCroix for example. Back in 2010, he made a fake Facebook profile for his boss. He didn't even do anything with the account, it was just there, but he was still convicted of fraudulent information and had to pay $500. Matthew, what have you done? Filling at number 3 slot is swearing. Amongst the 4 hosts on the channel, I can confirm I have the biggest potty mouth for sure. I feel like it's a tie between me and Che off camera, but on camera it's definitely me. It's hard not to, honestly. Swear words can be used as adjectives, nouns, verbs, adverbs, even interjections, people. Sucks for me though, because in Toronto and Quebec City, there are laws centering around regulating public conduct, meaning no swearing allowed. You can't even swear in French in Montreal. They went bilingual on this. Of course, this law is old as hell, and enforcing it is practically impossible, but a law is still a law. Now, number 2 is jaywalking. Everybody does this. If you think you have never done it, you are lying to all of us, and more importantly, you're lying to your goddamn self. It's not news, everyone knows jaywalking is illegal. Almost every major US city has jaywalking as a law. The punishments vary, of course. In New York or LA, you could get fined for $250, and in Las Vegas, someone could just hit you with their car and kill you. The range is huge. It's actually funny, when I was super young, my dad told me this fact that I have never forgotten and that I literally tell everyone I meet. Whenever you cross the street, always walk on the crosswalk, because say a car hits you and kills you, if you're on the crosswalk, then they can get arrested for manslaughter. If you were just jaywalking, technically you were in the wrong. Screw this law. I'm not gonna jaywalk, not because it's illegal, but because I want to screw my killer over after I die. You ain't getting away with my death. It's gonna be on your conscience for the rest of your goddamn life. And finally, at number 1 are baths. In my humble opinion, baths are sacred. I can't tell you how many days probably I spent in the bath growing up and just reading books. Even now, I love taking baths and just watching something on Netflix. It is divine. And of course, I fill it up halfway to full with a Lush bath bomb, if maybe I have one at the time. But apparently, that's illegal in Etobicoke, which is a municipality amalgamated in Toronto, in case you're not Canadian. The law states you can't have more than 3.5 inches of water in a bathtub. My phone is 6.22 inches long. You're saying I can't fill my bathtub up over half the length of my phone? What's even gonna be covered with that much water? Half of my ankle? I know baths are a massive waste of water and are not environmentally conscious. I accept that. I get it. I know it's bad. But just for this one thing, it just feels so good to be bad, you know?